Harry, how's things? You well?
How you doing, guys?
How's things? How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Used to.
Yeah, Harry. Cheers for coming on. My name is James. I'll wait till the other boys come in before, because otherwise,
Fitz is coming in there.
It's over.
Stuff. Did you enjoy the game?
I had Bucks future at week 16 at 17-1, so I did enjoy the game.
Very cool.
Hi, Darragh.
Darragh, how's things?
How are we getting on?
Not too bad. No.
Cheers for joining us.
Yeah, no worries. No worries at all. Get a 3-year-old bursting in here. I do apologise.
All right.
The more guests we can get, the better. The more
character.
We're trying to get it to a professional stage, but we're a little lackluster at the minute, so we'll just keep it enjoying the crack. We're just waiting on Thomas, I think, now, are we?
Yeah, he should be coming any time. He's just
that's down. Well, my name is James.
Hey, Dave.
There's Danny, Matthew, and Aaron as well. You probably see their names under. So we've just been doing this podcast now a couple of weeks. We actually started similar time as the boys doing the Irish NFL show, but they
got picked up by Pundit Arena and you didn't.
They had serious presentation and we don't. We're sitting in our kitchen still. They're doing it full time. Yeah, exactly. So if you know anyone putting it out there, want to give us a go, that's fine. But what our plan is essentially is get kind of guys like yourselves on who kind of play locally and endorse the sport locally, and just, you know, this time we're going to be chatting about, say, a bit about the Superbowl and how you guys got into it yourselves and the work you do. But well, you know, maybe down the line, you know, essentially we're just trying to have a bit of crack as well, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, if you're interested on coming down the line again, like we'll probably be doing during the off season a few shows just to keep it going a little bit. But sure, we'll see how it goes and have a crack anyways. Sorry, Harry, you were saying you won a big bet.
No, it wasn't that big. I just had the Bucks. So
already bigger than the Benny bets I won.
Yeah. Thomas is coming now 1 sec. He just has to set up his laptop.
No worries.
He's working on his laptop all day, like standard Tom.
How are you, Thomas?
Thomas, how's things?
Well, I think.
Oh yeah.
How are you getting on?
Grand, yourself?
Not too bad. Thanks for joining us, Thomas. I was just saying to the lads there. My name's James. I have Danny, Aaron, and Matthew here with us, and we're just going to be. I was just saying, Darragh decided to say that we started at the same time as the lads doing the Irish NFL show, but those lads got signed up, so we're sitting at the bar, we're scraping here. So we're delighted to actually get people on that have played the game here. Usually it's just us sitting. We let Aaron's our marketing expertise, so we let him take over our Twitter for a while because we weren't doing much, and he was on it and he managed to get you guys on. It's great. We're delighted to have you on. So welcome to the show.
Two boys really building you up there, Thomas, before you come on. So
well, I suppose the way we'll start off with is if you guys, I'll go through each one of you. If you want to just give maybe a brief background of how you got into the game, how you, I guess, maybe who you're following it, and how you got started even playing over here in Ireland, if that's all right. So I'll start with yourself, Darragh, if you don't mind.
Yeah, fire away there.
Yeah, so how you got into the game of NFL American football over here in Ireland?
It's that long ago now. I don't really remember. I mean, I'm 35 or 36 now, and I started watching on Sky Sports years ago, and started playing Madden then, and then I sort of got into playing that and really got like absorbed in it and really got interested in it. And then a fella that I played rugby with, Carl, I bumped into him coming off the dart one day with a helmet and pads, just as the season had finished, our rugby season had finished. And I said, Jesus, what are you doing? He says, I'm playing American football. I was like, bring me down. I don't care. So the next week I met him, and he brought me down to the Dublin Rebels. And that was 18 years ago. And since then I've played in Ireland, I've played in Australia, I've played in England, I've played in fairly successful semi-professional career in Germany, and came back in 2016. I played one more season in Ireland with the Rebels, and retired, walked away from the game, had to hung it up, fell out of love with it completely. And about 3 years ago, got in touch with UCD, and I've been with UCD, and I'm the defensive back coach for the Irish Wolfhounds as well. So I'm the defensive back coach, defensive coordinator, and assistant head coach for UCD. And I'm the defensive back coach for the Irish Wolfhounds.
Okay. And
So,
when you said when it was in Germany, it was semi-professional. Is it semi-pro in the UK as well, or Australia?
No, it's not. It's not. Australia is, so as far as I know, is slowly going that way.
Okay.
They bring in imports, but I know the English game is quite similar to our own, in that they like to keep the game
the amateur level, kind of.
at the amateur level and stuff, and look at to recruit sort of local talent stuff, which is great. I think it's great.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen both sides of it over here. You know, there are benefits to bringing in Americans and import players and stuff like that. You know, a couple of clubs here have American players on the team, and you know, it really does bring the level up. But on the flip side of that, you know, Irish guys do get, or local guys do get left by the wayside. Yeah. So it's a toss up. You know, you either sell your soul and go down that route, or you focus on building the local talent. We're quite unique in UCD that we get a lot of students, and we get a lot of what's the word I'm looking for, lads? Like
Erasmus
guys coming over. Yeah, so we've been quite blessed with some of the guys we had. I mean, some of the lads we had last year, Jesus Christ, like they were just ridiculous. And of course, we didn't get to play football, you know. So it was like we were loaded last year with talent. We were loaded with talent anyway, but this was just like the cream on top, you know. But the German league is fully, the GFL 1 is fully semi-professional.
Okay.
And there are some fully professional players there. And there's GFL 2, which is going that way, which is where I predominantly spent most of my time. I played 1 year in GFL. And they, you know, they're going that way too now. You know, the competition is just so,
it's building. Yeah,
it's just building. Yeah, it's like, you know, Germany and Austria now are the two powerhouses of Europe. Finland is coming in behind it, and France as well. So
okay. Do you find there is very much of a difference? Do you know when you started, say 18 years ago, to now?
Oh, massively.
The world playing and coming back.
Massively. It really has now, and it's a credit to the lads, and you know, people like just getting stuck in and loving it. Like I think when I started playing, there was 6 or 8 teams, and now there's 31, I think, all over. You know, so I mean, that's a credit to the league. That's a credit to everyone that's involved. You know, but the standard has come up. Like when I played way back when, it was, you know, run, smash, you know, just like obliterating each other. Now it's much more of a passing league. You know, that's kind of a gripe of mine, considering we're in Ireland and it rains fucking 10 months of the year. You know what I mean? So it's like, it has to be. I don't know. Can you swear, by the way? Sorry.
No, you're not fair away. Don't worry.
But no, like the league has really come on, and you know, teams are passing a lot more, and it's you know, it's great. You know, it's brilliant. But you know, some days you still need to be able to run the ball in the lashing rain. You know.
Yeah.
So it's it's definitely moving. It's definitely picking up steam. You know, we've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
You know, the investment is in Germany and England and all now is in the youth. You know, it's getting kids in. You know, the Superbowl Unicorns. I mean, they're in the high schools now.
Oh,
They're playing flag football at, I think, 7. You know what I mean? And boys and girls play, and then so they're learning. They're in the club structure of the Unicorns, and they're working their whole way up. I think Braunschweig now are in there too. So it's like they're just churning players out. You know, they have, I think they have 2 or 3 teams.
Really?
You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like senior teams, and they're sponsored. They've massive sponsors, they've massive budgets. Like it's absolutely insane. Like I'd say, like their budgets are like touching like nearly €1 million a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's absolutely insane. Like, but that's all comes back to schools.
Yeah.
You get into schools, you get the, you know, the kids' investment. You know, that's what local councils, governments want to see, that there's work being done with children, and you know, it comes from there. Like, so where I played most of my time was in North Germany, in Lubeck, and they kind of got onto that kind of in the middle of my time when I was there. And you know, it was great to see. You'd walk out there at 4 o'clock on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and there'd be 300 kids out there playing, you know, and there's, you know, this is like 5, 6, 7 years later, they're starting to get the rewards of that. They're starting to get the kids coming through they're playing the game, you know, 6, 7 years. They've come through, they're learning the same playbooks, the same terminologies, all that kind of stuff. So it's a proper program.
Okay.
You know, and they've had guys go off, they've had multiple guys go off to play in the States. And one of the kids I coached, Sayo, he went off and played Division 2 college quarterback and stuff, which is unheard of. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just, we've come a long way, but we definitely have a long way to go.
Yeah, you know? It obviously helps with the amount of exposure that people have now to the
massive.
game.
Massive. And I mean, over there, you know what I mean? Like, an average game is 2,000 people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're playing in front of, you know, so there's that draw too. You know what I mean? You get the kids coming in, seeing they want, this is what I want to do one day. You know, I want to play, and like, you know, it's like county football, county hurling over here. You know what I mean? Like, it's that kind of draw. You know, so great.
That's great. Thanks a million there.
No worries.
Harry, we'll go into you next to see how you got into the game and your background in it.
So I always had a passing interest in the game. I played rugby all the way through school, like a lot of lads in Ireland would. And then when I came to UCD as like an 18-year-old, I was like, I'm going to change it up. I have a quite unique body size. You can't really see it on camera, but I'm quite a tall bloke. So
he's 6'10".
Jesus.
Yeah. So I was walking around the UCD. I don't know I think all colleges do it, where they kind of get the sports center you set up, and then you walk around. And I was like, okay, what's suited to tall? And it was volleyball or football, which kind of like came it down to. And then I ended up going with football, and then just threw myself into it. And 5 years later, I'm still here. I'm actually, like, the last time we had that stand, I was the person who was in charge of running it. Like, so, so I was a big part of the, you know, I served on the committee as the recruitment and treasurer. So we've seen how when I first joined the club, we had, you know, we were lucky to get maybe 15 guys to training, to like just before the start of last season, we were consistently in the 30s and 40s, which is insane levels of participation. And it just came down to how, you know, we've really grown as a club. We've had a good, stable body of, you know, the committee guys are like kind of working together for the previous 2 or 3 years, and the coaching staff staying together. So that's all helped off the field, kind of push the brand online. Our Instagram's growing really strong. Our Twitter's going really strong. And that's down to Fitzy below as well. He's been running the socials for a while. So, and then on the field and stuff, we've had some great experiences. You know, I play offensive line, and, you know, the rest of the linemen, you know, we're very close off the field as well. And, you know, we had opportunities, you know, playing league games. I've played with the under-20s as well for Ireland. We've also done loads of trips where there's a few lads from Oxford who came over to play us in my rookie year, and that's a common thing in Ireland as well. You see a lot of promotional events. I think Darragh would speak about the Rebels have had D3 colleges come over and play. So, you know, they're great promotions for the league as well. So it's really, in Ireland, it is growing. there's a lot of random stuff that's always happening that pops up that's really cool. So yeah, that's basically my story. I just kind of joined it from UCD and here I am.
Great. And did it take you long when you joined, Harry, to find your position on the offensive line, or did you know where you wanted to start straight away? Or?
I don't think I really had a choice, to be honest, mate. I remember
and
coming down.
Pipe dreams of being a tight end.
Yeah, I remember coming down, and Larry, who is our head coach right now, came up to me and he goes, "You come with me." And I was like, "Oh, but everyone else is going over there." And he's like, "No, you come with me." So, you know, at the position that offensive line is and defensive line, where it's always kind of not a very glamorous position. You kind of really have to dedicate yourself to learning the craft of terms of, you know, doing steps. Like it's a very difficult position to be very good at quickly, just because of the IQ involved, the steps involved, you know, just getting that repetition. You know, you get better with every year you play, is what I've definitely seen in my own game, is how, like, because you just get more experience, you get more you learn more, you learn what the defensive line do. So it's really hard for guys who stick around. We get so many guys that come down and then they're like, hang on, I don't want to do steps here for 15 minutes before, I just want to hit people or I just want to catch balls. So, you know, it was always a tough to try and retain, but we've done a really good job of that in recent years in terms of building the community of the offensive line and defensive line. You know, so we have guys just buy in 100%. And I think going into this season, you know, we had like competition for places on the line. We had like really healthy defensive line. Like, you know, we had like packages and stuff, which is stuff that was, when I first joined the club, was absolutely unheard of. We had kind of scrambling almost to get guys to play offensive line. And that's a common trend throughout the whole sort of all clubs in Ireland, really. It's really tough to get offensive linemen. You'll always have 10 receivers, but you know, it's just getting people to do the grunt work.
Sexy a position as a some.
Yeah, it isn't, and it always is a hard sell when people ask me, "Oh, what we play American football? Like, what do you do?" It's like, "Oh, do you know the guy who like snaps the ball? Like, I'm the guy who like stands 2 people away from him." But you know, I love it. Like, it's something I definitely missed in the last year or so.
Watching the NFL and stuff, what's fascinating is like the technique they have, like the holding calls and stuff like that. And how did you find the technique or getting used to that? Because I'd imagine it's
really difficult. I remember in my first game or two, I was up against the Rebels and the Trojans at the time, which were the 2 best teams in the country in my rookie year. And I was getting roasted. Like it was just because I had no real idea of, like, you know, the steps or the IQ of what's happening is something, you know, people forget about American football as a really mental game. You know, it's kind of like chess in terms of, you know, your strategy and, you know, you're thinking ahead of what kind of moves you're going to use. So just getting used to it was so difficult. It's such a long-term idea. But it's such a rewarding process at the same time. You know, at the end of the day, when you do have a good game, or if your strategy works, or you do stonewall that guy, or you do get the pancake block, you know, it's just the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Main, Harry. And Thomas, we'll go down to you there. How your background in the game and as well how you got into it.
And thanks for having us, lads. First of all, it's great to come on and chat, especially after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
To have a little catch up. How I started. So I didn't play many sports in school. I'd say like everyone in Ireland plays, like, you know, like football as in soccer and GA, rugby. My school didn't have rugby, so I was basically just soccer and GA. Played them until I was about 13. Didn't really like enjoy it. So I was a big fan of MMA, which I still am. So I got into that at the age of 14. Did that until I was like 16. But like, it's very lonely. You can't really, you know, there's no team sport in that. Like, I didn't fancy getting my face bashed in weekly by lads who are literally like, you know, proper fighting. So I stopped that, and then I started binging Friday Night Lights before I went to UCD. And came to UCD, had no idea what sport I wanted to do. I thought I was like, oh, I'm going to do boxing Monday, taekwondo Tuesday, you know, kickboxing Wednesday, you know, and I was just like, with assignments, not possible. So I just remembered, I was like, oh yeah, American football is a good level of contact, and that's kind of the contact I like. I went over to the lads at the stand and just had a quick chat, and I was just like, yeah, I've never played before. I was like, I don't even watch NFL. I actually only started watching NFL 2017. So this was in 2015. So I didn't even watch it. Like my own experience was watching Netflix shows and playing Madden. And, you know, just trying to football around my mates. And I just said, yeah, I want to sign up. Like, what's the experience level required? Do I need to have my own gear? And they're like, no, just come down. Came down first training, loved it, and went to everyone after that. Just fell in love with it immediately. I remember asking my coach to pick in positions. So I'm a cornerback. So DB, I did play safety for a while, but now more corner. But I could do both, depending where my coach wants me. Darragh's my coach. He came in 2018. So yeah, I picking a position. I was like, geez, like, you know, what am I looking at here? Obviously, when you have no knowledge, you know, it's hard. But my coach was like, I'm gonna ask you a simple question, which our head coach Dave, who's not here anymore, he said, do you want to get touchdowns or do you want to hit people? And I was like, right, I want to hit people. He's like, right, defense, that's your first decision. And then from there, it was, you know, obviously I'm not the hugest lad, so you know, D-line, linebacker wasn't really the fit. It was more so you know, the defensive back side of the ball. So I started playing that. I think my first year or two, I even noticed in the league, it was very much a lot of running. I found in the league, you know, our plays were kind of designed to stop the run. And it was only when Darragh kind of came around, I was like, oh, you know, maybe I should start trying to, you know, get interceptions, start picking the ball off, and, you know, start thinking of getting the ball the other way. Because before that, I was like, just bat the ball down. So I started getting into that. I'm fast enough. So I was like, oh, you know, DB it's a hard position. Like, as Harry said, it's you know, it's not, wouldn't be a sexy one either, like the O-line one. It's punishing. You have to have short-term memory loss with that, you know, because you can get burned very easily. You know, it happens to every DB. You know, obviously I'd like to think that it happens less to me, less than often. But you know, I do really enjoy it. Like, you know, it's a good outlet when you're having, like, I don't know, a bad day. You know, as a young, like, you know, lad who wants to, like, get into contact sports, we need to, like, lay out the running back or something. Like the level of contact, you can't find that in, you know, rugby or soccer, or, like, you know, you can only hit them and have the ball, and, like, there's a lot of trash talking and stuff. Like, I fell in love with it, and the team bonding as well from it. Like, you know, when I was at MMA, it was very kind of like, it's yourself, you know, your own training. But this, it's like, right, I've got you know, me and the DBs would be really close, and, you know, we'd have our packages, you know, blitzing and covering, and when we're going man or zone, and, you know, talking to each other, being like, you know, swapping sides, like, I got this guy. Even the defense, you know, talking to me like, right, he's blitzing here, I'm going to cover this gap. And you know, offense is obviously all the glamorous side, but I do love playing defense. And so then, purely from playing it, I started watching NFL, and I think from watching NFL, I started, you know, falling in love with it even more, and seeing, like, where here's how the best athletes in the world at the best positions, how they play it. You know, obviously hard to mimic it over here with our genetics, you know, compared to them, but just seeing how they play the game, you know, their strategies is just unbelievable. The sport has came a long way. Like, I remember when I started in 2015, you know, we were like kind of getting there. You know, there was a bit of talk, like, I think Facebook was like the biggest platform, and, you know, as the years started progressing, you know, Instagram and Twitter, they started getting a lot more popular, and so did the sport. Like, I've seen a lot of my mates even have considered joining or getting on to being like, hey man, you know, I'm looking to join something. I started watching NFL, and I think it is growing a lot here. I don't know if that's down to, you know, the coverage that it's getting here. I think it's getting more than usual. And we're also doing better on, like, on a national level. So obviously Darragh is one of the coach Irish Wolfhounds. They, like, rebranded in 2018, and the Irish team won 2 games against Belgium. So, like, it's even on a national scale, our team is quite good, and there is definitely athletes in this country that are quite good at the sport. And, you know, even more teams are coming every single year. You know, our games are getting better. It's actually nice to see, you know, us playing other teams, and them, you know, getting better and actually having tougher games, because there is 3 divisions. But yeah, I'm like the lads, I miss playing it. You know, we had a great setup, but actually COVID hit the day before we played our first game.
Oh, really?
And me and Harry were sitting there talking, what, ready to go, and there was these rumblings that, you know, COVID was happening. I was like, I don't know what that's about. And obviously season cancelled, and you know, hoping to get a season, like a short season this year. But yeah, looking forward to get back into it. You know, it's unfortunate what's happening, but you know, it's good that we can chat with you and do something kind of in the meantime to talk about the club. And you know, obviously the Super Bowl just ended, so now we're missing football even more.
Yeah, so I guess we're a little bit clueless ourselves. The lads here is not that they're clueless, but I mean about the, I guess I guess the low, like the Irish NFL scene in terms of our American football scene. I keep saying it, and American football scene in terms of, the game here in Ireland. I mean, none of us have actually played it, so I don't see why we should be talking about it. But like, we are always interested in seeing it grow here, and
some of the biggest analysts in America have never played.
Oh yeah, but
you know what I mean? Like, so
you don't know
football is football is a great leveler.
Yeah.
In terms of athleticism. I was never the biggest or the fastest or the strongest or any of that.
Yeah.
But I was a fucking nerd. So I got into books and read books and educated myself on what to do and watched tape. And the lads will tell you, like, I'm a tape fiend. I just watched hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of tape. That's how you learn.
Yeah, we only started recording our games in my third season, so 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
And the difference it made in our not just my performance, but the team's performance as a whole, it was incredible. And there's been a big push now from all teams to make sure that, like, all tape is sort of out there, in a way. So, it's going to help grow the league as a whole, because you can see how everyone else is doing, and you can see how, you pick up all these things. It just raises the level of competition.
Yeah.
But when you see tape, like, there's that common phrase about the tape doesn't lie. Like, everyone looks shy on tape if you watch it yourself.
Yeah.
You get so critical, but you pick up on so many good things about, footwork, speed, body language, all these different things that when you're watching tape and you write out what you thought of you and stuff, you'll always find something to pick up on, if it's not yourself or other people on the team. So it's such a nerdy game, as Darragh said. Just studying it, it almost ruins the game when you watch it on TV, because you're kind of like, oh, the left tackle was 2 yards too wide, and what a fool.
Tom comes off the field. Oh, Darragh's gonna fucking kill me now. I was on the wrong side of him. No, as Harry said, we're really pushing to get the tape shares, and that's one thing I've really took on a personal kind of thing for clubs to share, because you have that club rivalry where everyone hates everyone, and this tribal thing that Irish people have, but that's something now that we really, ourselves, Cork, the Rebels, the Trojans now are some of the biggest clubs here, and if they can share tape, we can share and help each other, then that should trickle down, to help anybody else. And I mean, anyone that doesn't share tape with you, we'll just get it off one of those lads anyway, so it doesn't really make any difference, you know what I mean? So it's not in your interest to keep it, like, so.
No,
I asked the question there, James.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I just put it to the 3 lads there. So, on average, like, what is your your average NFL season here? Like, he obviously started in football season in the back end of the year, did he?
It's
how many games would you play?
Harry, I'll let Harry take that one.
It's 8 games. So they changed it a few times just based on feedback and stuff. But the season starts around mid-March. So that definitely comes from, that's when rugby season ends. And a lot of the clubs in Ireland will be based out of rugby clubs. So, just in terms of pitch availability and all that sort of stuff, starting the season in March.
The rugby teams, is it?
Sorry, yeah.
You share the pitches with most of the rugby teams?
A lot of clubs would. We're lucky in UCD. We train, like, all the pitches would be rugby pitches relined.
Oh, okay.
So we're in UCD. We train on one of the rugby Astros there. And I know in the Trojans in Belfast play at the Harlequins Rugby Club. So it's just that kind of, and a lot of players who finish their rugby season used to come over and play. But so it starts around March, and then it goes all the way through till the playoffs start in July, and then the final is usually, or the Shamrock Bowl, which is the final, is usually played in August. So it'll be 8 games, and then usually the top 4 went into a playoff, and then onto the semi-finals final. But that always constantly chops and changes based on the level of competition. If there's more guys in the top division or less guys, based on how competitive it was. But that the league do a really good job of staying in touch in that, making sure it's set up. The setups is basically the fairest for everybody, and that's how going forward is basically what the season is.
Yeah, and especially with students there, as you said, Harry, like, we have the league. It's kind of like, so 4 games before the exams, which are in May, and 4 games after. So you know, it is quite hard trying to keep on to the players when we hit summertime, because obviously in college, you know, lads want to travel, they want to go away. But so we have those 4 games beforehand, 4 games after, and that break, which kind of helps them, because you know a lot of lads like here, I'm in final year, have assignments. We're like, yeah, no worries, like, you know, there's no games this month. I don't think we normally have ones in May, and then we start back up again in June to allow everyone to come back. So the league, because we are a college team, I think there's only 3 college teams in the country. It's us, Trinity, and UL. So we're very different in that sense, in terms of everything, like our recruiting, you know, where we get the players from, and in terms of how the season pans out for us. You know, our lads, most of them probably won't have jobs, but they have assignments, and you know, with summer they might want to go away. So that's always a concern for us, more so over the actual clubs.
Okay.
Would other sports as well, for example, like GA happening over the summer and stuff like that, would that affect? Obviously, it affect you guys a bit.
Yeah, our defensive captain is much to my annoyance. He's a guy. He's just a sport nut. In fairness, he's as fit as a fiddle now. You know, Hugh. But like, he'd be like, oh, I played a hurling match last night, and they'd be training on Tuesday. I'm playing a GA match tomorrow. He's like, oh, I played 18 rounds of golf here before I went out. Like, and I'm just going. It's like, will you relax? Yeah, like, but yeah, some guys cross over. You know, we've a couple of fairly solid GA players there, and I think we've a couple. Ultimate Frisbee, one of the lads plays Ultimate Frisbee as well, which is but I mean, summertime is great. You know, it's most of the sports I finished there, and we've a pretty good culture there in UCD, that a lot of guys now are kind of putting our stuff first, which is kind of a testament to the club itself and the culture that we have there. You know, I'm a big culture lad, and the team culture is great, but you know, the culture on defense, which is what I'm responsible for, is excellent as well. You know, so we drive each other on there, and you know, it's a testament to the club themselves, how lads are starting to pick football now, American football, over maybe their first, you know, what was their first choice sport, and now it's their football has changed, and now it's football is their first choice sport. You know.
Yeah,
I can add on to that as well, just quickly, as in terms of, you know, I worked on the recruitment team for a bit, and
he done a great job last year, in fairness.
But we have a really unique advantage in UCD, that we can charge €15. We have great support from the college. The college are brilliant. We're always in touch with Suzanne, who's the head of the clubs, but we can provide pads and equipment and insurance for 15 quid, and somebody can come out and try it. Or, you know, we have pitches that are available and it's given to us. So we constantly can get, like, at our first ever session, let's say, of the season kickoff, which would be in September after Freshers Week, we've had 100 people at those before. You know, so it's just about everyone wants to come out and try it, but it's just about trying to retain as much of that talent as possible.
Yeah.
And you constantly see going into the season that you'll always have like 4 or 5 rookies who will start on the team, just because they just get so into it. And, you know, you have guys who've played high level rugby, and they just didn't quite make it into the UCD team or the club team, and they come to us and they can run a 8-foot 40, and you know, and there's as strong as they're like a school's rugby winger, and they come out and they play wide receiver for us. So that unique advantage that we have because of UCD is just unparalleled by every other club, that we can bring in young talent because they'll be able to afford it, while some other clubs, they just don't have that luxury, where, you know,
250, I think it is.
Yeah,
roughly,
it's, you know, it's in the hundreds, and you know, that's a
yeah.
big commitment for a lot of people. So, you know, that's why we have that advantage of getting lads in. You know, it's really affordable, and then we have a great culture of trying to retain that talent once we get it.
Yeah, I just want to bounce off Harry there in terms of, like, you know, what the lad said. It is a luxury being with UCD, and obviously with recruitment, I mean, we're very lucky that people can see us training. You know, students just see us training. You know, we're in the bar, they just come up. Like, a lot of times people that see us with pads, like, walking around, they just be like, what's that about? Can I play? And that is something so handy, because, you know, there's like 35,000 students in UCD or something. So being around that population definitely helps, and that they can just see us. And, you know, being on the committee myself, I've been on the committee, you know, with Harry and Darragh for a number of years, and doing recruiting and as secretary as well. So I've seen all aspects of it, and it definitely helps the marketing side of it being with UCD. I mean, we have the most Instagram followers of any team now, and that is a testament because, you know, UCD and UCD Sport will just share our stuff, and like we're just being exposed to a wider population, you know, so that is very handy. And obviously we get the kind of the odd American Erasmus students come over, you know, even if they don't stay, they'll come down, you know, they'll pass on some of their knowledge, you know, and it's just a blessing to see, you know, hear their stories of how they played the game, and you know, tell them kind of their tips and what they thought of our level. It's always fun, so it's definitely a huge advantage to be, you know, a part of a college.
Yeah, and they said you're the social media mogul, Thomas.
Yeah, so it's
Brains
me,
behind the
and
operation.
You might pass some tips on to Aaron, would you?
yeah, it's me and another guy. Like I'm nothing too serious. I just know, you know, basically the more content the better.
Yeah.
You know, we do get a lot of questions, like our DMs always flooded with people asking, like, you know, how can I sign up? Can I join up now? And we do get a lot of interest from people, you know, sending highlights from other countries, being like, do you do scholarships? We're like, no, we don't, you know, we're not on that level yet, you know, people send us their highlights and that. You know, it's just mainly kind of staying on top of it. You know, a good push is we have a Superbowl party every year in D2, which I organised, and that's always great because we'll just get people in UCD who are just looking to go on a night out, and then, you know, we talk them into it. They love watching the game, but, you know, they haven't actually decided to come down to training, and they could end up starting, as Harry said, you know, in a couple of months. So having those events, and, you know, being in that kind of college social, like we have a good few nights out with the young lads, you know, you just start college, everyone's looking to get into clubs and societies and go out, and I think we offer something different in that, you know, we're such a different sport, and you know, something that they wouldn't get from other teams, so that definitely helps, just keeping on top of the, you know, social events. You know, we do go out after matches and stuff like that. It is kind of only 8-game season, it is short, but you know, I'd say the best ability of any team in this league is availability, because, you know, a lot of people, you know, they have other commitments and stuff, so if you can make the 8 games and stay healthy, your team's probably got the best chance to win.
Yeah, perfect, makes sense. And just with, you mentioned retention a few times there, like, I know, say we're our local GA club, it might be junior B game, and you'd have the manager knocking on your door, and you might have a pair of boots. So that's kind of the route that the GA go a lot of the time. But how would you think social media is the best way to target younger people getting into it, or is that what you find from experience?
Our plan is basically, so we have such a great opportunity again with UCD of the recruitment hall, where you have thousands of students just flooding through this hall looking at new sports. So as I said, if we get 100 people down brand new to the sport on a first day, you know, it's just about constantly staying in touch. You know, that was something that I tried to bring into the club when recruitment is, you know, you go up, you talk, you shake hands, you introduce yourself, and then the next session you do it again, and the next session you do it again. So we have a big thing of, you know, we're not like the GA culture of if you don't come down to training, you can fuck off. If they're like, oh, sorry, I'm going out with a course night out, with my course, we're like, go, you know. But like when you come to us, you work hard. So that's the kind of attitude we always had, and it was working well for us for the last year or two. You know, our recruitment and our retention levels were, as I said, highest ever. So it was just about putting a name to a face and just constantly engaging and constantly looking for feedback. What do you like? What don't you like? What do you think you're going to do? And then the best thing about this sport as well is you have offense, defense, but you also have within that, you have the linemen, the DBs, the linebackers. So we almost tried to create mini communities of these people. So, you know, if you're a big man, you said, oh yeah, I like playing line, you know, straight into it. You know, you're in the WhatsApp group, you're in the lineman WhatsApp group, and, you know, we ask questions, or if we can even follow up being like, hey mate, are you considering coming back down? And if they say no, like I was reaching out being like, what didn't you like? You know, just nothing pushy, but just kind of
feedback,
constantly getting that feedback. And, you know, and then being like, oh yeah, sorry, I didn't like Darragh, that coach, you know, I hated him. And they're like, oh yeah, no, us too.
They love me, don't mind him. They fucking love me.
But, you know, so it's just constantly trying to just keep them informed, give them a real voice. On the committee, we always try to have, after a season, 1 or 2 rookies join the committee, because, you know, they'll one thing that was really weird about this season that we hadn't seen before, and it was brilliant, was that the rookies were they created almost their own friend group. You know, they had their own WhatsApp group, and they, you know, we constantly saw them on Instagram going on nights out together, and without any involvement from us as like or the senior team or senior players. And it was really nice to see. You know, we actually before COVID hit, we got to go down to Limerick. We do an intervarsities tournament with them just for college teams. So, we get to give the rookies a hit out basically. And we went down to Limerick. We stayed in a hotel. We had about 55 guys come, which was immense numbers. And, coming after that, I think that, people really bought into it. We did a really nice job there of sort of pairing up. You hear the training camp stories from Hard Knocks of the rookie who sleeps with the Tom Brady or whatever. We did a really nice job of, me and one other guy, we strategically made the bedrooms, if you know what I mean. So that that relationship was built, and just building that connection is almost like networking in business was the idea. And, it worked out well for us. So hopefully we can try and get that going again once we set up in the new year.
Brilliant.
That's great. I think we'll move on to a little bit of a review on the game of the weekend. I imagine you all got to watch it, did you?
I'll give you a defensive breakdown of what happened and what didn't happen, and
What did it wrong?
why the game was over by the second snap of the game. So,
I'll talk about the line play.
or lack thereof.
Is that a Tua jersey, Harry? Is it?
That is a Tua.
Don't
big
start
Tua,
him
man.
off.
Oh,
Big
Start
Tua,
him
man.
off.
I was always
Nailed his flag to the mast. He's nailed his flag to the mast with Tua.
On camera now.
His nickname is now Miami. That's what we call him. Miami. Miami fucking Harry.
As soon as I drafted this guy, I said, this guy's the superstar. And then when he started playing and it didn't start going to plan, I was like, I'm on a hill. I'm dying on a hill, and I'll swing at anyone. But yeah, no, it's my Tua jersey. He's my boy. I'm a massive Dolphins fan, so that has its highs and lows.
He's a ton of respect. He's a ton of respect for dying on that hill, and he has died multiple times. And he fights on.
Yeah. Who needs Deshaun Watson? Dolphins are in the trade rumors, but we don't need him. We've got this kid.
It's magic. That's all you need. It's magic.
Get him some weapons.
Thank you. You see, I was on the hill that if you watch this is going back to this, breaking down the tape. If you watch Fitzmagic actually play, he was terrible. He was really bad in the first 6 weeks. He had a nice game against the Jaguars, who went 1-15. If you watch the tape, his box score was good, but if you actually watch how he was playing, you could see that there was no real touch or difference in his velocity when he was throwing. He had dead arm, is what they call it in the league, is where you're just kind of flinging it because you've lost the strength to kind of control the ball. So I thought the move was great, and it was the right move. And I don't think we even get into the position of nearly making the playoffs unless we go to Tua. We look at the Cardinals game he had some really nice games against the Jets. I know it's not hardly a superstar team, but he was really developing. And then the game in Denver was the real touching point where he didn't play well. And then the Raiders game and the Bills game to finish the season were just his confidence were shot. So hopefully now going into next season, we'll build upon what we have.
Yeah, we have a big Tua fan in Matthew as well. He was.
Yeah, there's a man who knows his football.
So we're talking about Super Bowl now, because if they start talking about Tua, they just don't stop. They don't stop.
What was the Super Bowl? I was busy watching Tua's highlights.
Yeah, only about 20 seconds of them.
If you look at if you go back to the Super Bowl, you saw how the path to the Super Bowl was for the Tampa Bay. I fancied them. I didn't think Green Bay were actually up to much against really good defenses. You saw earlier in the season how they were beaten by Tampa pretty easily, and I didn't think the Saints were up to anything at all. I thought Breeze was pretty clearly not up to it anymore. And when you got to the Super Bowl, the Chiefs' offensive line was a concern. They lost Fisher. They had a complete overhaul.
Yeah,
and it showed up. So that defensive line. I think if you could give a group of players MVP for a team, it was probably going to be the Tampa Bay D-line or the linebackers, because they won the game single-handedly for them.
That front six really set the tone, and if you have a front six that can do that and really put pressure on and make a quarterback run for his life, it just makes the back end of the DB so much easier. So all they did was they just doubled Reek and just left the linebacker or a safety man on Kelsey. That's I don't want to say that's all it takes, but and then all the hands calls, like all the penalties that were given against Kansas City, you know, like Thomas will tell you, I'm all for hands all day, every day, hands all over receivers, you know, like almost, you know, just to the limit, like. But if the refs start calling it, you have to stop.
Yeah.
You know, that's it. But the Bucks obviously did their homework and watched the whole season how they've been playing and knew what they were at, and just said, yeah, let's just get this flag. So the Bucks pulled it up before the game. It was blatantly obvious because the refs called it and they just couldn't change up their game. You know, so on that side of things, like defensively, it was just a slaughter from the Bucks.
Yeah, it was a masterclass. Like
an absolute massacre. I mean, Devin White is he's the next Ray Lewis.
Unbelievable.
He's the next Ray Lewis. It was like watching Ray Lewis in 2000, I think it was, 99, 2000.
Yeah,
against the Giants.
Yeah.
He was just like, that's the biggest compliment. I'm a Ravens fan, and you know,
hey,
there you go.
There we go.
I'm a Ravens fan, and that's the biggest compliment I could give any linebacker, is to be like a young Ray Lewis. So
I thought he should have won MVP, to be honest. He should have, like, I know they would have given it to Brady, but like, he was clearly the best player on the pitch on the night. Yeah.
You know,
but he also got a lot of help as well, if you notice.
Well,
he had Sue and JPP and stuff, and they were just plugging those two-man gaps. You know, a lot of the times you talk about a D lineman's job is to sack the quarterback, but sometimes it's just to take a man in. So if Sue or Vita Vea were demanding those double teams, you're opening up these massive holes for White, and someone who's fast as White just dart through them and create that pressure or get that tackle for loss. Like, there was no way, you didn't even see the Chiefs try and get the run game going because they know they couldn't do it. Because if Vita Vea and you know, the D lineman just taking those double teams, you're nowhere to run. So it's just, you know, it's more than just saying Devin White was an unbelievable player, which he was, but it was the scheme and the help from his teammates that really helped.
That's coming from a lineman now as well, as you see that the way the lineman jumped in, he's like, the linebacker didn't do it all on his own.
Yeah, feel like
Harry's 100% right, and like, we have designed plays in our playbook that we will purposely take 2 and 3 linemen and move them around to rip offensive linemen out of the way, to put linebackers and safeties through, you know. And once you're up, like once they got up, they get into halftime and they were 26-6, was it 21-6?
Yeah, they got the touchdown just before.
And it just became slants. They just started slanting the D line. They start twisting and slanting everybody. So they'd send one guy one way, let loop another guy around. They'd send 2 guys in. So they just blitzed 5. They just sent 5 all day.
Yeah.
And once you're doing that, those guys get a sniff of blood, and it just becomes easy then. You know what I mean? Like, once they knew they had their number. And from the second play, I knew the second play. When I saw that, what happened, how the pocket collapsed and how everything, I was like, that's game over. Game over.
Yeah, Mahomes rambling all night after that, really.
And I'm the biggest critic of Mahomes. I just think he's a dick. You know?
Yeah.
But he's just an arrogant. I think but like, look, and their class, you know, in fairness to them, they're absolutely.
Matthew would get on well there.
You know, but you know, Mahomes played his socks off.
You could argue he could have been MVP.
He could have been.
I thought it was one of the best Patrick Mahomes performances I've ever seen.
With his injured toe as well.
Yeah, with one leg, with one foot, basically he played.
But he was hitting receivers in the hands and stuff, and you know, a quarterback's only as good as his receivers. So even if they're dropping it, you know, in the back of your mind almost, it's like if you're dropping back to throw and you're going to throw it to that guy, it's like, hang on, that lad dropped. And anyway, as soon as you have that doubt, it's just over. But I thought he was unbelievable.
Oh.
Yeah. Especially in like 5 seconds.
For sure.
No, I said especially. Yeah, supporting cast class. No, I say, yeah, no, I heard you. It's a supporting cast, obviously class. And I was just saying, like, especially Mahomes having 5 seconds to throw, it's not like he can get his third read off. He was literally just like, you know, hitting Hill in the hands, hitting Kelsey in the hands, Kelsey dropping a crucial third down, like literally nothing he can do. You know, Butker the only one putting the points in him. The amount of records that broke, I think it was like the only time Mahomes didn't score a touchdown in the game, and that he started in, and the only time he's been held to 9 points. Like, obviously, as a defensive player, it is class to see the mass-cast Bucks put on, but it doesn't make for the most entertaining Super Bowl if you're looking for, you know, kind of, you know, a shootout, both teams kind of swinging. And obviously, a lot of people tune in to see Mahomes kind of, you know, throw 400 yards for 4 touchdowns. But to see a team get dismantled like that was unbelievable. And if Brady stays at the Bucks, you can definitely say that they're going to dominate for the next few years, depending if they stay. But that defense is young, like, I've got all those young lads, Anton Winfield as well, like throwing the deuces up to Hill. I think he got drafted this year. They're all so young, like, like, you can tell, like,
JPP is the oldest one on the team, like, and he was looking like he was 25 got out there.
Yeah.
On the D, obviously Brady leaving it, but it's mad how you think about this team, like, that the Chiefs torched them during the regular season. They lost to the Bears. I'm a Giants fan. We almost beat them. They beat us by 1 point as the last play of the game. I mean, like, and then to come back and just beat Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, and Mahomes, like, all on the road. Obviously, they had the home Super Bowl as well, and was unheard of, especially since the Saints slapped them, like, what was it, 38-3 or something during the regular season. The second time and the first time was like 38 to, like, 28 or something like that. So to come back from that is obviously a statement to Brady. And I want to say he's been lucky getting the top defenses, but that defense was getting torched in the regular season on the backside of the pass coverage wasn't the best, but I think it was.
He brought in some pretty good weapons, though, in fairness to him.
Yeah. All the players he brought in scored the touchdowns. It was Fournette, Gronk, AB, like
AB,
30, all 31 points. Yeah. Even the kicker as well. Suck up.
Yeah.
Madness.
But if you look at the game as a whole as well, I mean, you always thought the Chiefs were going to come back into it. You always thought in the back of your mind, especially as even if you're looking at the live odds, like how, like, the Chiefs were still respected even when they were down at halftime. They weren't even more than 2-1. I know any other team, if like they're playing even a good team like the Packers in that situation, there's no way they would have gotten that sort of respect, because you, in the back of your mind, you was like, they're always going to come back.
You were just waiting.
Yeah. I was expecting them to come out third quarter, and I was like, okay, we've got a game here.
Yeah.
And then the first drive I seen, I was like, no. It's just
it's all about momentum as well, especially in line play. Just if a guy has your number, it's so hard to just change it up. But if you have another guy's number, vice versa, if you're playing against a D lineman and you just know that you get that confidence, you build it, and you almost start toying with them, almost in that way. It's so hard.
You're in his ear constantly. Telling him how shitty he is, and telling him, what you think of him and his sister.
I guess leaning towards Darragh and Thomas as the defensive side of the ball. Do you be sickened when, say, like a performance like that the defense gave, that it's not a member of their side of the ball that gets MVP? And I know it's the fairy tale story for Tom Brady, but
nah, because you know what, you get used to it.
Yeah.
We don't get the attention, but I think it's more of a testament, like,
defense
not
wins
one
championships.
Yeah,
that's a fact of life.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, not one individual balled out, I think, and stood out on the Bucks. It was.
Well, like, Brady's the GOAT, like.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
You could also argue that Brady, 3 touchdowns, no mistakes.
Oh yeah, he was pretty consistent,
accurate as well.
Really,
I think he had to win the MVP because you couldn't give it to one player on the defense, because they all help each other and they all, as a unit, played an outstanding game. On the offensive side, I could have seen even Gronk winning it as well, considering the performance he played, and playoff Lenny, as Harry likes to say. He put on a show.
He's Lombardi Lenny now.
Yeah,
he's the best follow on Twitter, and if anyone wants to have a look at him, he just keeps.
Yeah, he's funny.
Give him a rep.
Yeah.
And I had something in my head there, but now, Jesus, it's gone.
Was it Ravens? Was it?
No, God, I'm too
Don't start that.
Too sticking now to think about the
Don't get me started on Jackson.
I want to go to bed before midnight.
Put their demons on me.
Jesus, my head's gone blank there. Lads, any other questions there?
Yes, one question. I'd asked Darragh there about you're on about the game developing in the country, how it's came so far and all that.
Yeah.
Are we far away from seeing an Irishman be? I know we've had one from Kerry recruited to Georgia Tech to be a punter. Are we far away from seeing an actual Irishman be recruited to a college? We say a fairly decent college team in America.
Yes,
and
we are.
For
we're 10 years at it. We're 10 years.
And then make it to the NFL draft and so on and so forth.
We're 10 years at a minimum, because where the lads are all getting drafted from, they're all involved in youth programs. We don't have that here. You know, now we're working towards that, but you know, you're only going to see the benefits of that after 10 years.
Starting to see other Germans go to colleges as well. So if they're only starting that process now, as Darragh says, they've been at this since the 90s. You know, so like it's a long-term process. Like at the end of the day, it is still a very, very amateur sport here. Like, and you know, that's probably a good thing, as Darragh said earlier, about, you know, developing the grassroots. You know, we still are at that stage where we just need as many people involved in the game in the first place, and getting involved in the game safely as well. So kind of like the UK, you just want to keep building the player base. So we're still away. We have to get that sorted before we can start developing on the youth side and developing even further into development.
Yeah, get the roots going first.
So like you've seen one German man drafted. I don't think he did anything, but you're seeing a lot of Germans now go to colleges, like big colleges like Clemson and Ohio State.
Well, Sebastian Vollmer was the left tackle or the right tackle for the Patriots. He got 2 rings or 3 rings.
So you're going to see a lot more of that, I'd say, just because the investment they've come. But even they're probably a good few years away from having an actual proper presence into the NFL, so it'd be very interesting to watch. But
well, I met a guy that got drafted. I played for Boston College, Kazim Edebali, when I played for Hamburg, and he came from Hamburg. He got picked up, went over, just freak of nature, like freak of nature, and you know, like I can't, like. It's hard to put into words the specimen of human being that these people are. Like, you know, like it's I don't have, you know, it's hard to see, like, to see Kazim, like, and the nicest fella you'll ever meet, defensive end, like, but like just like he's the type of guy that play for Leinster, Munster rugby. You know what I mean? Like, but just a different, like.
You mean genetically, like he's born that way, or is that through?
Yeah, just born that way. Just, you know, like just a freak of nature. Just like an absolute freak of nature. At like 17, 18, when I got over there first, and then I met him on as he had graduated and was in Boston College. He came down to do a defensive line clinic with us, like, and like I can't, like, it's just insane. Like,
must be good mother's milk he had.
Oh, I don't know, like, but like his hands, like his wrists, like just his fingers. One of his fingers was twice the size as one of my. You know what I mean? Like just. So look, we like skilled position. I don't think we have the genetic makeup to make a lineman. I just don't. But a skilled position, potentially, yeah, we would do. Yeah, definitely.
You'd imagine a kicker, for example.
Kicker or receiver. I think, you know, it's that slot receiver type, Wes Welker, kind of, you know, that type of guy.
Change of direction, speed, like that.
Change of direction,
lads
speed,
who can just go into move forward into it and then just break it back, or just, you know, having that ability of quickness on the feet is basically what Gaz all about for like a half forward. So if you could just take that raw talent and that, like, sort of body type of like a 6 foot-ish plus, and just thought that's probably the best fit. But as you said, there's so much competition. It's like it's the #1 sport in America, and you know the participation rates at such a young age throughout high school and college and wherever from there is, you can't rival that. You can't beat that here.
I heard a stat, and let's just say there's 10 million people that play football. 1% of them go from Pee-wee to high school. 1% of them go from high school to college, and 1% of college go from college to the NFL. So that's the drop off of, like, that's how
percent.
Smart stuff.
You know what I mean? It's just, and I've played with guys. I played with Piris Matheson. He was a backup quarterback for the Ravens. I played with Mike Davis. He was a starting running back for 4 years for USC, Gamecocks, USC Gamecocks. I played against like LSU players, Ezra Creighton. I played against like it's just you have to see it up close to
It's a different game.
the just different body types. Like
It's different gravy.
yeah, it is like, you know, and if you like, I've seen UCD GA and I've seen UCD rugby, you know, and those lads are training and stuff, and there's a very few. Harry came from a fairly prominent rugby school that he'd have seen them too. Like, you see these specimens and you go, yeah, that lad's built differently.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to think differently. Your whole mindset, you know, has to be different, you know.
Yeah,
and
the style of fitness is completely different as well. You know,
Yeah.
the likes of rugby and the
it's
likes of
more
rugby,
endurance,
soccer,
endurance. Yeah.
like GA fitness, as you know yourself, is running laps of a field over and over and over and over again. Well, when we do our fitness, we'd focus on fitness as one of the core aspects of our team, and our strategy is fitness, but it's not running laps. It's more, we're doing sprints, you know, sprints and high impact, you know,
High intensity.
quick twitchy movements. Yeah, exactly. But in the States, that's what they've been doing since they were 13. You know, it's just
Younger Harry,
pure sprints.
7 or 8 probably.
Yeah, sorry, even
Yeah.
Well, you want to have that. You know, obviously there's that debate about how young people should play and stuff and all that. You know, there is a safety aspect to it as well, which is important. But all contact sports are having those challenges now. You've seen the rugby dialogue that's happening, and the dialogue is good. You know, I think all three of us here have suffered head injuries before, but you know, the protocols are in place for safety. But you know, just that different body type, that different fitness that needs to happen. Just that short 10-yard sprints, just getting really, 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 really good at those over and over again compared to laps.
Yeah. And like Harry touched on it there with the fit. Like, I think flag football is the way, as much as I hate flag football, and the lads will attest to this.
Yeah.
Flag football is an excellent way to learn fundamentals, like I'll learn all the stuff that Harry just talked about, and the safety aspect of it.
Yeah.
And then, you know,
most people just want to jump past that point, but I know it's
You
probably
you think that, James.
Yeah.
You think that, and we get 100 lads coming down, and you know, you get 10 or 11 of them in their Tua jerseys, or you know, and they'll put on, and you know, they come down and they run around and they catch balls and they think this is great, and then you put a helmet on them and a set of pads on them and you throw a ball at them, and all of a sudden there's safety coming at 100 miles an hour. Like, you know what? I don't need to do this anymore.
As soon as tackling comes in, they drop off. Like, as soon as hitting comes in,
they drop off. It's like 100, 80,
gone the other way.
60, 20, 40, 20, 30.
The worst guys are the guys who are like really into the gym, and they come down and you think, oh my god, this is amazing.
This is a stud, this lad, like
built like a shit house. As soon as he gets hits and he can't go to the gym next day, he's gone. Like just that sort of.
It's the hitting. It's like, so you're looking, you know, in rugby and guy, you're used to lads coming at you like straight on. You can see, but see in football, like lads will be coming from coming low, they'll be coming high. You can't see where it's coming from. So it's like the mental difference of that too. You know what I mean? Is crazy, and you have to kind of have that little bit of craziness in you too, like, you know. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
You gotta laugh when you get hit, like.
Yeah, even lads I spoke to, like, who are big, like some of my mates too, like thinking of coming who are big into the gym, and be like, well, like, you go into the gym, you're in class shape, why not use that for something? Use that in a sport where that size and power can be used for something, instead of like, oh, I'm just going to be in a gym and just, you know, I look big and walk around like that. Why not use that in a sport where, you know, that is an advantage, like, and you know, some people consider, like, there are some freaky athletes in our league, not many, but some of them are, you look at them and like, Jesus Christ, like some guys, you know, actually like train for the sport, like they are getting paid, and they do stand out, like those lads. It is a nightmare going against them, but you know, it makes the game a lot better.
Yeah, it makes it more competitive, surely. Lads, I think it's been really good there, actually, having a chat with you.
Yeah, we could probably talk another 2 hours.
Yeah, I was going to say,
good,
if
I'll
Aaron,
have to get you on again.
See, what happened was Aaron took over and invited, we got you lads, but he also sent a message to other lads as well.
I know Finn. I taught him everything he knows. So
Yeah.
I'm Finn's coach for the Wolfhounds, and I helped him a lot with going away to play abroad. So Finn's one of the lads going away this year. We have 3 potentials going away. I won't mention too many names now. We have one lad going to the first division in Poland, and we have 2 potentially going to the GFL. So I can't say too much now, but it's in the pipeline. So I mean, look, we have the talent here to go and play at the top division in Europe, you know.
Yeah.
It's definitely there, and that's kind of why I got into coaching as well, was to bring my experience, my experience back, and coach like guys like Harry and Tom up. That, you know, there's 2 future wolfhounds, and you know, they just have a bit more learning to do, and you know, they've been in the youth team, they'll be in the senior team. I'd say within a year or 2. I'm positive of that, you know. So there's 2 other guys that are, you know, good enough, and
once they listen to you, Darragh.
Sorry.
Once they listen to you.
Well, you have to listen to your coach, don't you?
Yeah. Different side of the ball.
Well, Thomas does. Thomas definitely does.
Yeah.
But no, like, so that's one of the reasons I got into coaching, was to get lads over to Europe. You know what I mean? To get Ireland's name on the map. And I mean, this year we potentially have 4 to 5 guys that are going to do that and play at the top level. So I mean, that's a good.
That's great. Yeah, that's a serious achievement.
Sign of progress, like, yeah, definitely.
But yeah, like Aaron said, I think we could probably sit here for another hour or 2 having the crack with you lads. It's been really good to get an insight of the game over here, and we'd actually probably enjoy if we could get you back on again in a later episode.
I ain't going anywhere, lads. So.
I know you're not.
No football.
Either of any of us as well.
Yeah.
We're all
But
do a full 2 episode if you like.
yeah.
Oh,
I'm washing my hair for that.
Yeah, I won't be on.
Washing my hair for that one. Yeah.
let's do it. Let's break down every throw from this season.
Yeah, there's 7 of them. There's seven completions. It won't take that long.
We'll maybe next episode we'll see how the season's going, the off season with trades and stuff like that. But maybe we'll look at just talking, maybe like you said, a bit more about the game locally, and maybe get into Darragh a bit more about the Irish Wolfhounds and the background to that.
Yeah, well, look, let me know if you want to do that, and not to kick the other 2 lads out, but I'll speak to other coaches, you know, and I'll run a boy head coach and my boss.
Yeah.
And you know, could get him on. Kieran's a great guy.
That'd be great. Yeah.
He's happy to help out wherever he can when he has time. Or I could get Brendan or Andy on, the 2 offensive coordinators, you know. So
yeah, like all we're trying to do really is get awareness around and promote it like yourselves. And as well, I'm sure you said you've played with a lot around the world, so I'm sure you have some good stories as well around the game.
Can't tell you that.
It's all.
I think
they know. Them 2 know, but I can't tell you.
Yeah, the league are very, very prominent now about this sort of stuff. They're very, very interested in getting social media and, you know, development around. So if you get in contact with them, I think there's a few contact details on their website for like PR and stuff.
Yeah.
If you reach out to them, there'll be a lot of good stuff.
There's one or 2, and this, I don't care if this is being recorded, but there's 1 or 2 social media who are like to be put their fucking oar in wherever they can. So I'm sure they'll be on. I'm sure
don't
they'll
put this
get
in the podcast. We don't want any beef with anybody.
Yeah.
But I know exactly who he's fucking talking about.
I think on you said there about the kind of the Team Ireland and stuff and getting Darragh on. I think like that is definitely. It is definitely great for a crew, but I mean, like, you know, no one's looking here being like, you know, playing American football in Ireland is like, you know, you're playing an elite sport, but getting a chance to represent your country in any sport, like, you know, even though it is American football, is obviously
Wolfhounds are a good team, man.
Yeah, it's a great achievement. It's
under the radar. Nobody really knows about us, but I'm telling you, we've some really good coaches. We've got probably some of the best facilities in Europe. We're in with Sport Ireland. You know, we've got great management. We've got great support from the league. We've got great young players coming through. We're set to go on a roll, you know, and it's something that I'm super excited about. We really have the bit between our teeth, and you know, it's something that I'm really proud to be a part of too. You know, it's a really great carrot to have for lads. You know, to have that carrot dangling over them, like Tom and Harry are on the cusp of you know, getting called up into the senior squad, you know, so it's having that to have over lads, you know. And Finn will tell you, like, when you have Finn on now next, like, you know, Finn will tell you the same thing. Like, it's a great thing to be involved in, and it's a great, fantastic. We've won our first 2 games that we've played. Nothing to be rounded. So
That's a great achievement, and it's a great kind of pinnacle to aim for as well.
Yeah, big time.
No, but yeah, it's been good out crack, lads.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it, lads. Fair play to
Nice
you.
time, guys.
Thanks for having us, lads.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers, man.
Good space again.
Thanks. Cheers, lads.
Take it easy.
Cheers, boys. Good
See
luck.
you guys.
Tonight, Mark. It doesn't seem like the proper video's coming up for me.
That's all right. No worries. You can hear us all right, can you, Piers?
Yes, I can hear you. All right, lads.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You just do audio anyway.
Yeah, that's fine. How are you keeping?
All good. Well, not great since Sunday.
Since Sunday, yeah. You thought you'd be coming on here, happy man. We're hoping.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you getting on? How are you feeling after the game?
Honestly, disappointed, but I'm pretty sure we'll be back our next season.
Yeah. Sorry, there we got a little bit delayed there with the other guys that we had on.
Yeah.
It was just we were doing a promotion on the game in Ireland itself. So Piers, this is your second podcast in only a couple of days. You're coming to
I know. Yeah.
Man in demand.
Famous man now. Yeah.
So you stayed up for the game, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. What
Sadly.
Sadly, yeah. So going into it, you were pretty hopeful of a win, were you? Or were you thinking?
Yeah.
With the offensive.
I knew the O-line would have been bad. I don't think anybody would have even thought it would be that bad.
Yeah.
How bad Mahomes would have to drop back. Like in the later quarters, he was dropping nearly 20, 30 yards even just to get the ball away.
Yeah.
And they were still near perfect throws. The wide receiver just couldn't catch them.
I know. That was the thing. Some of them were just hitting the receivers in the face. Yeah. One hit was a Hill that got hit in the helmet straight.
Yeah.
That kind of set the tone for the rest of the game, didn't it? Nothing went right after that. Catching wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess going on, the Chiefs beat the Bucks earlier in the year, so that's why they were favorites going into the game. And I suppose people were thinking, even with that O-line, Mahomes is kind of this at the minute. He's like a unstoppable force. He can just take away from that. So they were still favorites going into the game, but you could see nearly straight away after the first few drives, even though the Bucks didn't start too well themselves, you could see that it was going to be a difficult day for Mahomes and his offense. He was kind of scrambling straight away. Would you be, I guess now, they obviously had to get a lot of kind of replacements through the year. Melly got injured. They signed him up and he got injured, I think, in week 5. And then Schwartz went out, and then Eric Fisher went out against Buffalo. Eric Fisher went out with an ACL injury, so they're probably going to be looking at. Do you think it's kind of a hard injury to come back in that same year? Do you think they'll be facing a replacement for him?
Yeah, but certainly, as you saw on Sunday, we certainly need stronger backups even, and especially with Schwartz. We don't actually know what the situation is with him. We know it's a back injury, but there's not much more on that.
No.
So I definitely think either free agency or draft, we need to invest heavily in the O-line. And then also possibly even thinking another strong wide receiver to go with Hill. McCole Hartman and Robinson just didn't look like it on Sunday and the rest of the season. It seemed like Andy Reid was even trying to design play specifically for Hartman, and just nothing was happening on Sunday for it.
Yeah. Because usually you find the Chiefs, like Andy Reid and Mahomes, they can usually get the best out of some of these, like you said, Hardman, even Sammy Watkins, like he was a baller last year's Super Bowl, but like I know he's been out a bit leading up to it, but usually they have the ability to kind of draw a lot out of these I guess not mediocre receivers, but they wouldn't be top class like Hill. But
Yeah.
all came to the forefront on Sunday. It wasn't to be. But I suppose going forward, in the next, I suppose Mahomes signed a 10-year contract he signed that year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 10 years.
They've obviously got the last 2 years they've got to the Super Bowl, and the year before that, they lost to the Patriots in the championship game.
Yeah.
So that could be
a loss.
yeah, and even last year's Super Bowl, like obviously the Chiefs are a really good team, but last year's Super Bowl, could have all been a little bit different if Garoppolo. So if that was the case, then you'd be looking at maybe people might be talking a little bit differently about the Chiefs, because that would be, say, 3 years in a row where they didn't win the Super Bowl, say. But because they won the one last year, I guess everyone's talking a little bit differently there.
Yeah.
But I guess in the next, say, for that contract, would you be expecting, would the Chiefs fans have a kind of number in their heads over that contract of how many kind of Super Bowls that they might be expecting the team to win, or over that contract, or are they kind of just taking it as it goes? Because I always kind of had the idea that they would, with that contract that they would be expecting probably after last year, probably another 2 minimum. I know it's hard to go by with obviously Tom Brady winning as much as he did, but
yeah, certainly, especially with, I would definitely say we have the best GM, Brett Veach. He's one of the best out there, certainly. And if we can keep Andy Reid for another good few years, like I would say 3-4 Super Bowl appearances.
Oh, appearances, sorry.
How many wins?
Played 50-50 too.
Yeah. Yeah. Two wouldn't be bad though for a 10-year contract. Like, it's not that's 3, say, Super Bowls in his time, really. Mahomes as a Chiefs, say that wouldn't be bad.
Yeah.
A lot of other teams that would beg for that.
We class as a dynasty.
Yeah, 3 is a dynasty.
3 is
It's like the Patriots in the 90s.
Yeah, that's the rule in American sports. 3 is a dynasty.
Yeah.
Apparently, so.
It's pretty big as well, Piris, that no team decided to sign Eric Bieniemy as a coach. So it looks like he might be there for another year or 2.
That's crazy that no one signed him. I also couldn't believe it.
I guess it was the Texans that were mainly linked with.
Yeah, the last team really
decided to take a wide receiver coach that hasn't played too well I've been managing too well. He was a receiver coach in the Chiefs in 2011, I believe it was. When they didn't score any touchdowns all year. The receivers didn't score a touchdown all year. So I guess going forward, Piris, you're still hopeful after the weekend's game. I suppose it's the Bucks done such a defensive masterclass. Like, it's hard for you to kind of. I've seen a lot of Chiefs fans putting it on the refs and stuff like that. But it'd be different if the scoreline was a bit tighter, maybe.
Yeah, but you could always say the refs with those early calls, it could ever go either way. But I personally think it's on us. That their defense was outstanding. There was a lot of soft plays, but it shouldn't have affected us. That how our offense played so bad.
Yeah.
Never any shame in losing to the GOAT either.
Yeah.
A baby goat and the goat, supposedly.
Kid.
But they were building it up for.
Baby goat's a kid, Jim.
Yeah, I know. So, well, I was gonna say there now.
And how? How did you get into the game initially? You've been following it longer.
Well, I think I started watching it in the 2016-2017 season, so still fairly new to it. And then I didn't really have a team first season. Enjoyed it more. Kept on watching, and then the Chiefs. I started like the Chiefs in the 2017-2018 season. Didn't choose them as my team though. Just I started following a couple of different teams, and then it was the playoff game against the Titans. I think we were up 21-3. and Mario would have threw that pass and caught it himself. I just found it too funny. I had to go for the Chiefs.
It was an Arrowhead as well, wasn't it? They lost.
Yeah, we completely blew it. Lost that point.
Yeah. Remember that? Alex Smith was quarterback, wasn't he?
Yeah.
It was his best year.
Yeah. I was close to being a Jags fan that season, and near jumped on the
jeez.
Jacksonville hype train. Thank God I didn't.
Look, you're happy with your decision. Definitely.
Made a wise decision there, Piris.
So you've had a good run so far. Then.
I've been spoiled. That's what I said. I've been spoiled with the
You're
Chiefs.
getting-
My first real heartbreak with them, apart from the AFC Championship game against the Patriots.
Yeah.
And so Piris, you're running the Chiefs kind of fan page in Ireland?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I set it up probably about last year and a half ago maybe. I really set it up just as a news feed for all Chiefs news about players, and then started talking shite on it. And then people started following a bit.
And does it let you link up with kind of the UK page like a lot, or is there this kind of I know they quite a bit like a competition?
There's a huge Irish fan base of NFL that I never even knew about until I started the page. There's near pages for every single team.
Yeah,
Irish pages specifically.
Yeah,
so it's great to link up with them, and hopefully we get to meet a few down at the college game if it goes ahead this year.
Yeah, I've never actually. Did you ever actually go to the college game before in Ireland?
No, never.
No, I didn't either. It would be quite interesting to actually.
Yeah,
some crack.
Be good to go to, yeah.
Yeah. You there?
No, it's supposed to be. I wasn't. No.
Yeah, I heard it was good. It's good old crack. All right, it'd be a good way of getting everyone kind of together in the same place and seeing what kind of, not even really about promoting it, because I mean the NFL as such is so promoted anyways. It's more about just
meeting people and stuff. Yeah,
the fucking crack and stuff like that around the game.
Shift.
Yeah, probably about that too. Yeah. And I think have any other questions, boys?
No, I just suppose from here, Piris, the next few years you're expecting big things.
Yeah.
You're probably right. You're probably right, I suppose, as well. But is there any particular areas you think for next year? Are there any particular players you have your eye on, or what are your kind of thoughts on that the Chiefs should kind of target?
Yeah, I just well, I'll say definitely O-line. O-line's 100%. We need more. I think it's mainly backups. We can get maybe one or two starters, but we need strong backups. And then
any key players going in free agency or scheduled to go in free agency for the Chiefs?
I think there's loads. I had a list up earlier of them. I think there's about 20 odd players maybe. I think there's a good few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't have a lot of money to spend now because you have Chris Jones's contract and Mahomes' contract, and so they'll have to do a lot. There'll be a lot of changes probably within the roster in the offseason.
Yeah. Definitely free agency is going to be the biggest thing for us this offseason. The draft obviously important, but it's free agency. There's some big free agents.
There is, yeah.
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 Imagine I want to come to the new Superbowl champs for next season.
I'm a Baltimore fan. I'm hoping it's coming Lamar's way. Remind you.
I don't think he'll ever do it in the playoffs. You know, I do like him, but I don't think that he'll do it.
Probably not. No, we're coming slowly to that realization, but I have to dream. I was stuck for many years with Joe Flacco, so anything other than that is for me.
Did you ever play yourself, Piris?
No, but I definitely going to as soon as it opens. Either getting in starting with flag football or maybe even full contact.
It's probably big. It's bigger, probably bigger in Belfast. Is it bigger?
Yeah, you have the Belfast Knights and the Belfast Trojans. The Trojans are the big team.
Jesus.
They both in Division 1, Piers? Do you know?
Trojans are. I'm not too sure about the Knights. I don't think the Knights are.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I'd probably play with the Knights then.
Right to the top.
Break in nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. We wanted to get a roundup of the thoughts of a Chiefs fan after you've had 3 days mourning now, so you're good to go. So, but no, it's been
The burial is done.
yeah, it's been really good. What we're trying to do, Piers, is, like I said, we were chatting to lads before or earlier about kind of getting the local game promoted in Ireland. But as well, as the season goes on, I guess next year we'll be looking at doing it'll be kind of in the format of so the Irish NFL show have really grown, like, and they have some seriously good, like,
it's scary the people they have on.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I don't know how they've managed that, but they've been doing really well. But what we're kind of trying to do is maybe do like kind of like a format, like a radio sports talk show kind of thing, where you'd have, like, say if you were playing the Bears, and we might get yourself against the Bears group, and just kind of have a bit of crack before the games and stuff like that, and good things. But so we'd probably be interested in getting you on again later on.
Yeah, definitely come on. We'll try and get the camera sorted next time.
I was gonna say, you look pretty good on the Irish NFL show. You don't have to hide from us, We're not But it's been, sorry now for the delay as well in getting you in there.
Yeah, no worries. I was watching the Celtic match anyways.
I don't know. It's been good to get you in there, and thanks very much for coming on.
Yeah, no worries. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, Piers.
Thanks, Piers. Perfect.
All right, thank you very much. See you soon.
Thank you. Good luck.
Best. Bye.
Future shows, right? Right. God.
That was